Hello there, small men. It is I, Talon. You should probably, if you haven't already, subscribe. We're getting close to 2,000 and like 80% of you aren't subscribed, so what's the deal with that? You don't have to if you don't want to, but it'd be pretty pog if you did though. Also, I have a Twitch. You should follow me on there. Go check it out. Anyways, enjoy the video. Welcome back for what's been, I don't know, another month. I have no excuses. To another mod showcase. Today we're doing Infernal expansion. The long-awaited, promised, since the third episode of my podcast, which if you haven't checked that out already, it's called Skulk Vibes. It's on my channel. I do it with other mod showcaser, Diansu. It's a pretty podcast. Next episode, we should have LudoCrypt, who made music for this mod. Let's get on with the video. Alright, first thing we're going to talk about are some vanilla changes that this mod brings. The first thing, though, that I want to talk about is such a lovely change. If you step in either Soul Fire or this new type of fire, which is like Luminous Fire, you will burn that color now. Look, I'm burning yellow. I'm burning blue. Alright, next up we have some quartz and some bones. What can you do with it? I don't know. You can just place them now. That's pretty pog. And these generate in the Nether Wastes and the Soul Sand Valleys. Soul Sand Valleys for the bones, Nether Wastes for the quartz, but you could just place it wherever. Same with the bones. Up here we have a fire charge. Now fire charges can now be used to craft torches and campfires, as the sign says, but are now throwable! And they fucking explode. Except the reason why that didn't explode is because there's a new item that you can craft using quartz, and that is quartz glass. It's hard to tell the difference between normal glass and this glass. This glass is a slightly more brown color, but it's blast resistant, both the panes and the blocks. Nothing broke. That's amazing. This mod also adds its own meat item for the hoglin. So whenever you kill a hoglin, it'll give you a hog chop. A raw one, of course, which then you can cook. I'm pretty sure it's just better than a pork chop in general. A couple smaller things that I want to mention before we move on is that /set dimension spawn is a thing, which I managed to do, and I respawn in the nether next to my showcase. That is amazing. Blast furnaces now use any smooth block to craft, because you know how the crafting recipe is like 5 ingots, the furnace in the middle, and then 3 smooth stone? You can replace that smooth stone with any type of smooth block, including smooth quartz, which is kind of crazy. Red and brown mushrooms can now be crafted into paper. And one more thing, this mod adds a ton of compatibility with other mods. Oh, and I believe this mod is in the Crucial 2 mod pack, which adds just a bunch of vanilla plus mods. Our second new item that we have is an Infernal painting, which is crafted with 4 blaze rods in the corners, and then 4 sticks on those other spots, and then 1 wool in the middle, and that will give you the Infernal painting, which you can place into any of these lovely paintings right here. This might look a little bit strange to you, but somehow maybe doesn't look strange to you, because you might think that this is just a vanilla feature. Striders, when they stand on magma, are now warm. This is like, why is this not in vanilla? I don't know. But why is there a bucketed version of the Strider? Well, using a lava bucket, you can bucket the baby Striders, not the adults, the babies, and you can carry them around and transport them. And you can also bucket the small magma cubes. Now, there are several types of fungus in the nether, including the crimson and the wart, which you can actually now condense, crafting 4 together, into a cap block. It's just a storage block, but it's nice. Kind of a little bit bouncy, I think. Yeah, it's a little bit bouncy. And you can do this for a new type of mushroom, which we will get to in a minute. Now, up here, we have a shroom light block. We have this new thing called a shroom light tier. Now, what this is is a new item that you obtain from bone mealing the Shroomlight block, and it will grow these things. And depending on what biome you're in, it'll either grow on top or on the bottom, which is kind of wacky. Now, if you get 9 of these, you will actually be able to craft a new Shroomlight. So it's a way to renew Shroomlight blocks. Now, right here are some pretty lovely changes, I will say. If you take a shovel, or I don't know, I think it would be a shovel, either a shovel or a hoe. I have not tested it. You would have to figure out on your own. I'm too lazy to do it. I'm assuming a shovel. You right-click the fall block of the Nylium or the soul soil, and you get a path block. And if you craft 2 Nylium blocks together, you will get Nylium carpet. Now, I want to talk about our first mob, our first new mob, but the second one is... What the fuck are you doing? Alright, I fixed it. I'm not going to tell you how. Alright, we have gotten to our first mob. Our first new mob. This new mob is called a Voline, or a Voline. Oh, you can also bucket them? Oh, I'm stupid. Okay, you can also bucket a Voline. Keep that in mind. Basically, Volines are like these little creatures that walk around in the nether wastes, and they're attracted to fire resistance. They will attack anybody who has fire resistance on them. Now, Magma Cream has a new thing to it, a new little quirk to it, where you can throw it, and it drops itself as an item. Now, these guys love eating Magma Cream. Every time they eat Magma Cream, they grow in size. Like, this guy just got bigger. However, you can also throw Magma Cream at entities to apply fire resistance to them. And this guy will start attacking this dude because he has fire resistance on him. Oh, and every time a Voline dies, it drops gold nuggets. Oh, okay, he's nearly at max capacity. Now, when you feed a Voline to max size, these guys will become large. Oh, that wasn't even max size. Oh my god. Okay, he's like not moving. There we go. Now he's at max size because he's all sleepy and producing smoke particles. When he's sleepy and producing smoke particles, he won't attack you. Oh yeah, and Volines also eat gold things. Now, you can do this with a normal Voline, except these guys will probably most likely attack you while doing it. But if you have a dormant one, which is safe to be near, and you feed him a gold bar, he'll produce a molten gold cluster, which is the equivalent of 1/3 of a gold bar. Because if you have 3 of these molten gold clusters, you can recraft a gold bar. Now, these molten gold clusters can be used to craft something else, which we'll get to in a bit. Alright, up next we have the thing that was nearly exploding, and I don't know why it does that. Probably a bug. Is the Shroomluin. Now, these guys naturally spawn in Crimson Forest, so they look like this. However, you could feed them different fungus and mushroom to get different variants of them. Now, if you manage to kill one, it'll drop an item called an Ascus Bomb. And when you throw it, it explodes and releases a lingering cloud of this new effect called Infection. And now, Infection is just like poison, except when I'm pretty sure if you just hit the mob, then it also gets Infection. Now, these guys will automatically aggro towards anybody that isn't a natural inhabitor of Crimson Forests. So, watch your back. He will explode like a creeper, kinda, except more infectious. Now, you can use Ascus Bombs to brew potions of infection for the same effect. Up next, we have our third new mob. A lot of new mobs in this mod. Pretty pog. This new mob is a Warp Beetle. Now, Warp Beetles are natural inhabitors of the Warped Forest, though not so natural in nature because there's some weird lore to it that the mod creators have come up with where Endermen kidnapped some overworld beetles and brought them to the Warped Forest, where they slowly grew and adapted to become these creatures. Now, warp beetles, every time you hit one, they teleport. Now, every time you kill a warp beetle, it drops a warp fungus. Warp beetles are not a big fan of spiders, because when you put one up against a spider, it starts beating the shit out of the spider. Also, if you feed a warped beetle a chorus fruit, it'll get a new texture and looks like a chorus beetle. So up next we have some soul sand stuff for the Soul Sand Valley. These are a lot of new blocks that you can make. These are slabs and stairs that you can make of soul sand and soul soil. And there's 2 new base blocks that you can use. There's soul stone and there's soul slate. Soul slate you cannot find naturally. Soul stone you can in soul sand valleys. But you can also obtain these 2 blocks from smelting soul sand into soul stone and soul soil into soul slate. Now, of course, there's all these variations for these blocks, but you can turn the soul stone into soul stone bricks, which you can make cracked and chiseled variations. This charged soul variation of the chiseled block is used crafting 2 of these brick slabs and a new item called soul salt, which we'll get to in a moment. Same thing applies to these soul slate bricks for this charged variation with the glowing gas. You have to use this slab and soul salt. And there's also a button and a pressure plate, and when you press on the pressure plate, it glows blue, made with the soul slate. Now, in the soul sand valleys, you will find these new deadly abominations. To be honest, they're not very deadly, but they're deadly in numbers. These guys roam the soul sand valleys, lost souls, if you will. Except they're called the Embody. Now, the Embody naturally attack skeletons, and skeletons naturally attack them. And when an Embody dies, it drops the soul salt that we talked about. Now, you can use that soul salt to craft several things. You can craft the chiseled variations of these blocks, which I told you about, and you can use 8 of them around rotten flesh to craft cured jerky, which when you eat cured jerky, you get 10 seconds of speed too, which is pretty pog. So I'm a little bit of an idiot. I just went on to record up to a little bit of the basalt section, which we'll get to in a moment. I'll do it again. But I forgot that I set my keybind to something where it swapped my screen, and then you guys couldn't see anything, and that was lame. So I'm just gonna do that again. So the thing I was gonna show is that there's a new structure that you can find in the Soul Sand Valley, which if I go into Spectator, here it is. It's a soul shrine. Now, these guys, I don't know if they do have chests or not. I have not found one with a chest, but I'm assuming maybe there's a chance that they do have one. There's several shapes and sizes of these guys, but they just add on to the lore of the land. Now, assuming that they do have chests, there's a chance that you might find a new music disc called Soul Spunk by LudoCrypt, which, by the way, Ludo is going to be on our 5th episode of our podcast soon, so be sure to check out my podcast if you haven't already. I do it with Diansu, he's pretty cool. And I might be playing this music disc in the background right now, by the way. I'll put like a little thing in the top left or something that just says, this is what's currently playing. The main way of getting this music disc is a rare chance from killing these guys. So put looting on your sword. It'll be useful. Alright, up next we have a new mob. Yes, another one. This guy is the Basalt Giant. He roams the basalt deltas peacefully, kicking the shit out of magma cubes. I mean, look at him go. Look at him go. Look at him go. You could put this guy up against several men. He'll beat the shit out of them. Oh, also there's varying sizes. Oh my god, wait. Okay, wow, this guy's arguably larger than that dude. Okay. And if you do manage to kill one, which probably you shouldn't, these guys are pretty peaceful. They give a pretty good amount of XP, but they also drop magma. Besides that, I'd probably leave them alone. They're just doing their own thing. Though they are pretty useful for magma cube farms, because if you do get like a magma cube spawner from a treasure bastion, he's gonna help you out. Now up next we have several new basalt blocks. Now these 3 blocks that I'm gonna show you right now, I have no idea if you're able to obtain them in survival or not, or like they're in the creative menu, but I just don't know. I don't think they're obtainable right now. These 3 blocks are crumbling blackstone, blackstone rubble, and basalt silt. Now 2 blocks that you can find naturally in the world is basalt iron ore, which when you break it, it's like gold. It's like nether gold ore, except it drops iron nuggets. And basaltic magma, which is just another magma block. Now up here we have several new blocks that you can craft using basalt. This is cobbled basalt, which you can have the block and the slab. How you obtain it is from smelting basalt. Now we have normal basalt stairs, slabs, walls, and a button. But you can also take normal basalt and craft basalt bricks, which you can have cracked, chiseled variation, and the magmatic variation, which you craft using the brick slabs and 1 basaltic magma. Now there's a new structure that you can find in the basalt deltas, and this is a strider altar. Now strider altars come in different variations, but this is one of the unique ones. Sometimes at the bottom underneath the lava, you might find a chest with some loot, with chains and bucketed striders. Now some of the other blocks that you can craft are polished basalt tiles. How you craft these is using 5 basalt bricks in a cross shape. Now you can also make polished basalt slabs and a pressure plate. I'm assuming using polished basalt because it has the same texture. So, all right, now we're getting on to this mod's new biome features, which we're in this new biome, and this new biome is called the Glowstone Canyon. The whole point of this biome, right, is that there's a lot of things that glow. One of these things that helps you glow is called a dull thorn. And every time you walk into one, it hurts you. I'm in creative, so it's not hurting me. You can climb it still, but it also gives you the luminance effect. Now, several things in this biome give you the luminance effect. This is just one of them. What the luminance effect does is basically makes you a walking torch, a human torch. You produce light, and the light follows you. It's like Optifine, but like an effect. The person who programmed it, Swan, our beloved, amazing job. Now you can also craft 4 dull thorns into a block of dull thorn, or just dull thorn blocks, which also gives you the effect. It might hurt you too, I don't know. I've not tested that. Now this next thing that appears in the biome is a new fungus. This is a luminous fungus. Every time you walk near it, it lights up. So it detects if a player's nearby and lights up, which is Pog. And when you walk in it also gives you the luminance effect. Now while you're wandering around the Glowstone Canyon, there's a chance you might find these ruins of a strange but nostalgic heaven portal. And this one actually does have a chest, so there's a chance you will find glowstone, gold, whatever in here. But the main reason you want to find this is because there's a chance of you finding another new music disc by LudoCrypt, Flush, which will also be playing in the background right now. Again, second reminder, check out my podcast, Skulk Vibes. I do it with Deonsu. He's a cool dude. LudoCrypt, next episode. Now, within this biome, you can find several new blocks that you can use to craft even more blocks. There's, of course, glowstone. Everybody knows what glowstone is. It's vanilla. But you can also find dimstone, which is a dimmer version of glowstone, and dullstone, which is a unlit version of glowstone. Now, when you break dullstone, it gives you dull rocks, which you can use to craft back into dullstone, and you can also use alongside glowstone to craft dimstone. Each 3 of these blocks have their own block variations. So, smooth glowstone block, smooth dimstone, smooth dullstone, buttons, a pressure plate, which when you step on it lights up, bricks of each of these, which you can make all the variations, chiseled, cracked, And this biome has its own sand called shimmer sand. Now, shimmer sand can be smelted into shimmer glass, which I'm pretty sure lights up too. Yeah, it's glass that glows. And there's shimmer sand layers too, to make things look smooth in this biome. Now, this is a unobtainable block as well. However, it's a block that is there for the sake of compatibility. Because if you have enhanced mushrooms, which was a mod that I previously showcased, if you have that enabled, this mod suddenly has its own wood type for these hanging mushrooms, and these brown mushrooms will be replaced with luminous blocks, and then the new wood type. Oh, and these mushrooms are so useful, because these mushrooms are like throughout the biome, and you can use them as little platforms to parkour on using ender pearls. Now, one thing you should watch out for is glimmer gravel. If you're just wandering along, you're minding your own business, and suddenly you step on glimmer gravel and you fall in a fucking pit. Basically, glimmer gravel causes any nearby glimmer gravel to collapse, and you fall in these naturally formed pits throughout the biome. And now here we have shimmer stone, which can be found naturally, and I'm assuming you can craft shimmer sand into shimmer stone, but you can also craft shimmer stone into several of these different new blocks, which is pretty cool. Alright, finally we have a few more things, but we're getting close to the end of the showcase. First new thing is a new mob called the Glow Silk Moth, or the Glow Moth. These guys can be fluttering around naturally in this biome, and they are so beautiful. Now, when you kill them, they drop moth dust, which moth dust can be brewed into a potion of luminance. And luminance, as you know before, lights you up. But apparently, luminance, if used on an undead mob, so let's say you have a zombie and a potion of luminance. You throw the luminance on there, it acts like sunlight and burns the undead mob. This block right here is a glow silk cocoon. You would think that this guy has a natural lifespan and a circle of life stuff where it cocoons and is a caterpillar and a larva and whatnot. But no. Do you know what this is? This is just straight up moth ore. This is the equivalent of this biome's ancient debris, because it is blast resistant. You will find this in the same levels as ancient debris, and when you do find it, it's just there. You find it really deep down underground, and you can mine it to get glow silk. Now, when you have glow silk from this cocoon, you can make yourself a glow silk bow. Now, what does this bow do? It gives you luminance arrows and applies luminance to your enemies. Alright, up next we have a new mob. Yes, another one. And this one is a Glowskeeto. Now, these guys will also be flying around in this biome, naturally. However, they won't attack you unless you have the luminance effect on you. Then they start attacking you because you look like their food. Because these guys, if you put a glowstone block under them, they'll eat from the glowstone block and turn it into dimstone, and then turn that dimstone into dullstone. Except for some reason this guy's not doing it. He's just kind of been frozen. Now, what does this guy drop? Well, when you kill him, he drops glow coke, which I'm pretty sure this is a British term for charcoal, or just some other term from another part in the world that I'm unaware of. Maybe it's an American thing to call it charcoal. I don't know. Basically, all that glowstone condenses up in its body and it drops this, which can be used to craft luminous campfires, luminous lanterns, and luminous torches. The luminous torches produce the particles that you see in this biome, which is pretty cool. And there's a rare chance of you killing this guy and dropping the flush music disc. Now, up next we have this frog-looking blackstone creature that's blind, as you will, because it doesn't have any eyes, and it's called the blind sight. Now, these guys hop around in the Glowstone Canyon, and what do? Well, they do what they do, and they attack Glowskeetos, and Glowskeetos attack them. You might see this naturally happening in the biome too. This won't happen unless a player is nearby, by the way, so be on the lookout for that. Now, when a blind sight does die and you do manage to kill it, it drops its tongue. Blind sight's tongue can be used to make a new food called fungus and tongue stew, which you can use to craft, which you craft using the tongue and the 3 fungus that you find in the biome. And when you eat it, it gives you jump boost too, for a full minute. You can also use the tongue to craft a new weapon. And you remember those, that molten gold cluster that we talked about from the Voles? Well, you need 3 of those, plus a tongue and a stick, to make a new weapon called the Blindsight Tongue Whip. Now, the Blindsight Tongue, when you hold right-click to charge, then when fully charged, release to strike. I wonder what that means. Let's get a zombie dummy here. If I hold the charge, it makes a cool little animation. And when I hit it from afar, it gets knocked back. I think the closer you are, the more damage you do. I don't know. Now, one of the final things that I must show you is called a Bastion Outpost. Now, this is a structure that you can find in the Glowstone Canyon and anywhere else, I'm assuming. I found these in the Glowstone Canyon mainly. But when you do manage to find one, you want to be careful. There's a bunch of loot here, which is awesome. Where there's a chance that you will run into several of these guys. Blackstone dwarves. These guys guard the Bastion Outpost. And they kill piglins. They were made by piglins and killed their creators. And are roaming these outposts by themselves. Now, these walls are littered with lore shit that I don't know. But, yeah, these guys just guard the place. They beat the shit out of you. But when you do manage to kill one, it drops a golden apple. Anyways, yeah, that was the Infernal expansion mod. Hope you guys enjoyed the showcase. Tell me what you want to see, god damn it. But yeah, again, feel free to subscribe, follow me on Twitch, check out my podcast. It's cool, I promise you. Anyways, you guys have a good day. See ya.